This official visit is seen as key for the two leaders to discuss issues of mutual concern and also interests of peace, security and development. I'm getting a cue that the Prime Minister as well as the President has entered. There you see the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, taking his seat. Let's dip in. Let's listen in.
Honorable Prime Minister, it's wonderful to have you here, the honorable ministers and deputy ministers on both sides, and distinguished guests. This is a real honor to receive you here at the Union Buildings. We normally don't work on a Sunday, so this for us is a double honor to open the Union Buildings on a Sunday so that we can receive you. And allow me on behalf of the people of South Africa and on my own behalf to extend warm greetings and welcome to you and your delegation. We are very happy to have you here and wish you to know that you are amongst your brothers and sisters, and in fact you are home. I'd like you to consider South Africa as your second home, as we consider Ethiopia as our second home each time we go there. We recall with pride and gratitude the historic relations between South Africa and Ethiopia, and we recognize the importance, in fact the historic importance, of the military training that Ethiopia provided to the father of our nation, Nelson Mandela, as we embarked on our own armed struggle, and deeply appreciate the overall contribution made by the government and the people of Ethiopia during the struggle of freedom or democracy in our country. From previous conversations that we have had, I know that we share a vision, a very clear vision of an African continent that is prosperous, an African continent that is peaceful, democratic, non-sexist and united, and which contributes to a world that is just and equitable. South Africa recognizes that development can best take place in a peaceful and stable environment, and therefore we wish to congratulate you on a host of successful political, social and economic reforms that you have embarked upon and implemented. These innovative, bold and brave reforms include the promotion of gender equality in your country, the release of political prisoners as well as journalists, and the commitment to national elections later this year. We have witnessed your vision and courage in the measures you have taken towards the resolution of the situation with Eritrea, a situation that appeared to be intractable, but you were able to find solutions, peaceful solutions for that. We recognize the importance of these efforts in paving the way towards the normalization of relations with Eritrea. In recognition of these efforts to achieve peace and international cooperation, the Nobel Peace Committee awarded you the 1990 Nobel Peace Prize, making you the 100th Nobel Peace Prize laureate. Once again, we extend our heartfelt congratulations on this, and we are proud as Africans that an African, adding to the other Africans, including our own 3 Africans who have won the Nobel Prize, that you are amongst them. This gives us a great deal of pride. Due to your efforts, often under very difficult circumstances, Ethiopia is ready to benefit from the significant investment in its economy, as well as social economic development that you have embarked upon. So we applaud you for all that. As both our countries are signatories to the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, we hope that the ACFTA will be used by both ourselves, Ethiopia and South Africa, as a platform to increase trade between our two countries. And we're looking forward to our discussions later, which will also focus on this area. I have noted that we have not adequately made use of the Joint Ministerial Commission since its inception. This is something that your visit here is going to enable us to correct, so that we can put our relationship on a much better and firmer footing. We look forward to the signing of the Memoranda of Understanding in the fields of tourism and health. These agreements reflect a recommitment to work together towards a better future for our people. South Africa is also keen, through the signing of the MOU on tourism, to encourage direct institutional partnership to promote tourism, as well as student and academic exchange programs. A strategic partnership should develop from the increased bilateral work flowing from the Joint Ministerial Commission. The respective ministers of foreign affairs from both two countries will work towards achieving what I regard as a strategic partnership between our two countries. As South Africa prepares to assume the role of chair of the AU, we hope to have closer cooperation between our two countries as we work together to achieve the aims that were set out by Africa in Agenda 2063. I'm hopeful that out of this meeting we will agree on measures to strengthen our joint cooperation. I wish to reiterate, Prime Minister, our pleasure at being able to receive you, and once again wish you and your delegation a very warm word of welcome to South Africa, and we look forward to fruitful engagement between our two countries. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, I usually call you my president. And honorable ministers, first and foremost, I would like to express gratitude for the warm hospitality accorded to me and my delegation. We are very much enjoyed our visit here in South Africa. It was really great to be here and also to work on Saturday and Sunday. You're counting only today, but also because Africa needs someone who is dedicated to work over the weekend as well. Otherwise, we can't overcome the challenge we're facing. My country, Ethiopia, attaches great importance to the strong bond and close ties that exist with the Republic of South Africa. And yesterday's celebration of the 108th anniversary of the ANC was a key milestone, which me and my delegation are grateful to have participated in. And we always consider ANC as a grandfather of prosperity, as it's passing a century. Both our countries have embarked on various national reform measures, and I'm certain that our deliberation will create a good opportunity to exchange experiences and further strengthen the relationship of our two countries. I wish to recognize the significance of work done by our Joint Ministerial Commission, and this visit also will enhance that effort into the next step. As you have mentioned, history is repeating itself. President Mandela was trained in Ethiopia during the struggle against apartheid, and after the victory, he won the Nobel Peace Prize, and we assume we have some share in that process. And then I am trained here in South Africa. When I was a soldier, of course I was trained in technology. And then, as you mentioned, I also get the chance to be a winner of Nobel Peace Prize. This history can tell that if South Africa and Ethiopia could exchange in many areas, that we can have lots of not only peace, Nobel Peace winners, but also winners of many sectors, including economics, social, politics, also military. So taking this as a great experience, we have to work on both countries and on both countries' use to get more winners from both sides. Mr. President, I would like to inform you that since your last AU summit related visit to Ethiopia, we have made significant strides in shifting our political and economic landscape under the broader reform framework of Madamar. On the political front, we are working tirelessly to realize the promise of a democratic order based on rule of law, respect for fundamental rights, and the basic liberties of our citizens. On the economic front, we have initiated a comprehensive homegrown reform agenda to correct macroeconomic imbalances and to rebalance and sustain growth. This is being done guided by the Madamar principle of leveraging achievements of the past. In terms of infrastructure and human capital development, we always consider any positive deeds of last decade to use it as a foundation for the next step. We have also adopted a comprehensive reform strategy to open up key sectors that have been closed to private capital, including telecommunications, energy, logistics, and other industries. There is great scope for South African companies to invest in Ethiopia in this area and more. We know South Africa has experienced companies which can invest in Ethiopia and the benefit for themselves also can share their experiences for us so as to realize our vision of development. I really encourage South African investors to take part in our new reform agendas, including telecommunication, mining, also agro-industry. Regionally, Ethiopia is committed to peace and stability within the whole region, and many efforts have been undertaken over the past year to shift the narrative the region is most commonly known for. Recently, the relationship between all neighboring countries are enhanced in terms of peace building. With regards to Ethiopia's interest to create a sustainable cooperation with Nile Basin countries, Ethiopia has also been making efforts for an amicable conclusion of the agreed tripartite discussion with the lower riparian countries of the Sudan and Egypt. Ethiopia has always been and is committed to equitable utilization of Nile water for all riparian countries. During your AU chairmanship, I hope these kinds of issues within Africa can be somehow managed or intervened under your leadership so as to get the ultimate understanding among African countries. Since peace is a foundation for everything, if there is no negotiation and a win-win approach within African countries, there is no way that we realize our vision 2063. For that, your leadership hoping that your leadership will play a significant role on bringing most African countries to focus on prosperity. This visit will serve both our countries, also in our multilateral engagement. I hope your next chairmanship will impact our continent, specifically in economic endeavors. And I'm so happy to be here and to visit my second home. Even though you took back my passport, I still feel I'm South African. And thank you for everything. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. We're delighted. You informed me that the father of our nation traveled on an Ethiopian passport as he went around. So we want a replica of that passport to be given back to us. And I assure you, I will not use it. Thank you very much. We'll allow the media.
Friendly exchanges there between South African President Cyril Ramaphosa as well as Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, Dr. Abiy Ahmed. The President was speaking about the strong bond and close ties between South Africa and Ethiopia. It's something that the Prime Minister touched on yesterday during the January 8th statement. But remember, official diplomatic relations only started in 1994 between the two countries. But I guess, as you heard, it goes much more beyond that. And the President was talking about this being an opportunity to exchange ideas as well, and saying that South Africa recognizes that the best environment for both trade and investment will be a peaceful environment. So peace and security key among the issues that will be discussed. The President was speaking about the Prime Minister. Remember, he assumed office in April 2018, and he introduced a whole lot of reforms, be it political as well as economic. The President was mentioning some of the issues such as the promotion of gender equality and also the release of political prisoners as well as journalists, as a bit of a feather in the cap of the Prime Minister. The African Continental Free Trade Area, you can be well aware that this will be important in terms of the discussion between the two countries in terms of trade and investment. The Prime Minister taking an opportunity to thank the President as well, and also, as he did yesterday, in terms of using Nelson Mandela, Madiba, as an example for other African leaders on the continent. He said that Madiba's moral leadership was an example and an inspiration for other African leaders on the continent. And he was talking about this, Nelson Mandela being trained in Ethiopia. And I guess the one thing that Nelson Mandela as well as Abiy Ahmed have in common is that they're both Nobel Peace Prize laureates.